Hello everyone and welcome back to the YouTube channel, Duval Mafia here, and in today's video I'm actually going to be doing part 3 of the rookie evaluation for the Jacksonville Jaguars 2021 draft class. And in today's video it's going to be highlighting Tyson Campbell, the cornerback out of Georgia, who was the number 33 overall pick, and he wears number 32, and he was picked at the top of the second round. So to get right into this, his stats for the season was he played in 15 games, he started in 14 games. He had 2 interceptions on the season, he had 10 passes defensed, he had 73 combined tackles, he had 49 solo tackles, he had 2 tackles for loss. So, looking at these stats just on paper, I'd say that's actually a pretty good year for any cornerback, let alone a rookie cornerback. And Tyson Campbell is going to be a fun one to talk about because he started out this year very, very slowly. And what I mean by this is, throughout the first few weeks of the season, Jacksonville Jaguars fans really didn't even want this guy in this team. I remember seeing countless Jaguars pages, countless Jaguars fans, just pretty much almost anybody to do with the Jacksonville Jaguars slandering Tyson Campbell's name and honestly just dragging the guy through the mud, which I was very upset with because I constantly kept telling people that when you draft somebody at a position like cornerback, they're not going to come in day one and be a lockdown corner. That's just simply not how it works. And lo and behold, about halfway through the season, it was around maybe week 9, week 10, where Tyson Campbell started to really show what he was made of, and he really started becoming the player that he is now and the player that the Jacksonville Jaguars wanted to draft. And looking solely at his stats, I'd say he had a pretty good season, even though stats are not everything for especially a cornerback who has a lot more that goes into it just than basic stats. But looking at Tyson Campbell, after week 10, week 9, somewhere in that range is when he really took that next step, and he really showed Jaguars fans that, hey, I know what I'm doing as a cornerback, and I know how to be a lockdown cornerback. And from that point on, he just kicked it into another notch, and he played as a true CB1 for this team, and he really showed us that he was worth the 33rd overall selection in the draft. And Tyson Campbell is honestly a very, very underrated player this season. I think he was one of the best cornerbacks in the entire league from a rookie standpoint. Obviously, you have guys like J.C. Horn before he got injured, of course, Patrick Surtain, and a few others like Asante Samuel Jr., and there's a few more, but those are the main 3 that popped up in the top of my head at this moment. And these guys, I remember how much slander Tyson Campbell got from Jaguars fans for being drafted over Asante Samuel Jr. And I don't know how many times and to how many people I said, let the pick grow. Give it a chance before you already write it off. And this is taking absolutely nothing away from Asante Samuel Jr. I'm sure he's doing pretty well in LA for the Chargers, and I haven't really followed him too much this season. I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to speak on him. But from what I know, he was doing decent for them, and he was doing good things for them. So I hope he succeeds, and I hope he does good for them. But he's not a Jaguar, so I'm not really concerned with him. But going back to Tyson Campbell, through the first few weeks of the season, I will admit Tyson Campbell struggled a lot, and you could tell he was a little bit lost. He was trying, like the effort was there, but he was a little bit lost. I don't know if it was the defensive scheme that was throwing him off, he wasn't quite comfortable in it yet, or I don't know if it was just a new situation for him that he had to get used to. But I will admit he looked like a pretty mediocre towards more even a bad pick at that point, because the dude really wasn't covering anybody. He was giving up consistently high yardage each game for the first 4 weeks, I believe it was. And now I understand at this point how Jaguars fans were extremely angry, but then the dude came out and he came out with a vengeance and basically told every Jaguars fan with his play, not his words, of course, he did not say this, but he told basically every Jaguars fan to shove it. And he basically showed them that, you know what, I know what the hell I'm doing as a cornerback. And I loved what he did in the final half of the season because he really showed us that he's going to be a cornerstone building piece of this defense going forward. And he's going to be probably within the next year or two, maybe not next season, maybe his 3rd season, he's going to blossom and hopefully be the leader of this secondary and be that true lockdown corner that every secondary needs and every secondary wants. Because looking back at his stats for this year, Tyson Campbell was a very active person when it came to tackling, when it came to playing against the run. And if he covers like he did for the latter part of the season, for a full season next year and for a long part of his career, he's going to be a very solid cornerback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And he's honestly going to make Trent Baalke and Urban Meyer look like geniuses for drafting him in the second round, because he's playing like a first round pick. If you take away the first few weeks of the season and you only look at the latter part of his season, he played like a first round pick. There's no way around it. The dude was covering number 1 wide receivers and number 2 wide receivers outside, inside, either side of the field. Like, he was doing his business, and he looked very comfortable in doing it. And this is something that's very exciting for me, because I truly hope that in his sophomore season he does not have a slump, because I know some players sometimes have sophomore slumps. When some film gets out on them and teams learn how to attack their weaknesses, it does happen, and I'm not going to overreact and get mad at Tyson Campbell if it does happen. But as it sits right now, Tyson Campbell is looking like he's going to probably steal the CB1 job from Shaquille Griffin next season, in all honesty, the way he played this season. And I'm truly hoping that he can blossom into the star cornerback that the Jacksonville Jaguars are missing at this point. Because, let's face it, the Jacksonville Jaguars secondary before Tyson Campbell and Shaquille Griffin came to town was not the best. Like, they had Sidney Jones for 1 or 2 seasons there. They had Trey Herndon for a few seasons, who was decent. And they've had guys that have been around who are decent, but they are not good enough to really have an elite defense or have even a great defense. And to win football games, you're going to have to be good on all sides of the football. And it really starts with Tyson Campbell for this secondary. Tyson Campbell just excites me so much as a player, because you watch this guy and you can just tell he understands how to play the cornerback position. And what really makes it exciting for me is the fact that he's 6'1", 200 pounds, and has a 4.3 speed from a 40 standpoint. But you combine that with the way he plays the cornerback position, whether it's aggressively, but he also plays it smartly. It's a very exciting thing for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And to give his rookie season a grade, I'm going to give it a B+. I was going to give him an A, but I am not going to be biased, and I'm not going to just erase the first few weeks of the season that he had, which were absolutely atrocious. There's no other way around it. So I will give him a B+. And I was thinking about giving him an A-. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I really was thinking about it. But like I said, I'm not just going to forget his struggles early on in the season, but his play at the end of the season, if he continues to play like that next season and beyond, watch out, Jaguars fans, because the Jaguars have a new CB1 in town, and Jalen Ramsey is truly old news. And with that being said, I'm going to quickly wrap up this video before I talk about that topic anymore, because I know Jaguars fans don't want to hear about it. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. If you are new, make sure to subscribe, and as always, peace out, Duval.